We're grateful that you're here for the elected council meeting, and we're going to just listen to a little music as we get started.
What does the Lord require of you? 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 What does the Lord require with your God?
Beautiful.
We are the Interfaith Council of Contra Costa County, and we're so grateful that you're here with us for our elected council meeting today. We are 109 congregations, monasteries, and retreat centers, representing more than 50,000 people of faith, making Contra Costa a more tolerant and understanding place. As we move into our meeting today, let us do a land acknowledgement. As Interfaith Councils, we understand land acknowledgements as a transformative act meant to confront our place on native lands and to build mindfulness of our present participation in colonial legacies. As people of various faith traditions and life philosophies, we affirm our responsibility to amplify, Indigenous voices. We stand in solidarity with local Indigenous communities, and we respect local Indigenous protocol. We practice land acknowledgements in order to teach and promote greater public consciousness of native sovereignty and cultural rights, even here in California, where there are few First Nations that survived the California Indigenous genocide, and fewer still that gained federal recognition as sovereign nations. Our congregations and worship centers are located around the Bay Area in Huichun and Yalamo, also known as Oakland and San Francisco, and on the unceded territories of Chochenyo and Ramaytush Ohlone peoples who have continuously lived upon this land since time immemorial, as well as on coastal and Bay Miwok, Karkane and Muwekma Ohlone and Patwin lands in Marin, Contra Costa, and Solano counties. We recognize the historic discrimination and violence inflicted upon Indigenous peoples in California and the Americas, including their forced removal from ancestral lands and the deliberate and systematic destruction of their communities, sacred sites, languages, and culture. Each of us has a responsibility to oppose all forms of individual and institutionalized racism towards all people, but especially towards Indigenous peoples as fellow peoples of faith who were robbed of their freedom of religious rights in 1973 and their voting rights until 1978. All of this, over 750 treaties have been broken by our federal and state governments, including just last month, 3 treaties were broken in Minnesota with Red Lake, Anishinaabe, and Ojibwe nations. We recognize that the cultural heritage of California begins no less than 15,000 years ago, and that the entire Bay Area rests on evidence of Indigenous cultures. The pre-contact Indigenous population in California was one of the largest and most diverse in the Western Hemisphere and spoke over 300 Native American dialects as well as 90 languages. Today, there are approximately 9 Indigenous dialects spoken in the Bay Area, and California is home to more people of Native American and Alaskan Native heritage than any other state in the country. There are currently over 100 federally recognized Native American tribes in California and even more communities and tribal groups, including the Ohlone, who are not currently federally recognized. California has the highest Native American population in the country, and Los Angeles and San Francisco have two of the largest urban Native American populations in the United States. Let us move to our covenant.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Father Tom Bonacci, and it's my blessing and privilege to be with you today. I'd like to recall to mind that whenever we come together, we are practicing interfaith peace and interfaith spirituality. We are what we hope the future of the world to be. Somebody once said to me, today is the most important day of your life, and now is the most important moment of your day. So let's enter deep into this meeting and begin by listening to our covenant.
Our
Susie, Rebecca.
Our dialogue is an interfaith dialogue. We all have different communication styles and varying views.
We realize that we are responsible for the growth of I4C, and each of us shares a duty to interfaith growth. The governing board provides leadership, and the elected council works towards progress and the fulfillment of I4C goals as we grow.
We recognize that we are imbued with interfaith responsibility. As such, we commit to hold ourselves and each other accountable to merit that trust, respect for the diverse traditions, beliefs, and spiritual paths of all those we encounter, hold ourselves to the highest ethical standards, and accountable to our communities and to I4C.
Our shared time together is interfaith time. We commit to honoring the start and end times each time we meet.
Thank you very much. It is now time for us to reflect back on our last meeting of September the 9th, 2021. Erica?
Thank you, Father Tom, and thank you all for joining us today. Before we do the reflection, I first want to say thank you. It's such a wonderful program that we have put together. Celebration of Light, one of my favorite celebrations of the Hindu traditions. And today we'll be talking about seeing light in each one of God's creation. But before we move to the reflection of last elected council meeting, we want to do the business of running this elected council meeting by approving the minutes. The minutes from the last elected council meeting was submitted to all of you sent to all of you through the email along with the agenda. So first, before we do the reflection on the peace talks we had last month, can I get a first and a second to approve the minutes that was submitted or sent to everyone through the email along with the agenda? Anyone who would like to motion that we move to approve the minutes from last month's meeting?
We have a motion.
I think everyone's on mute.
I saw Sabra's hand.
Oh, thank you, Sabra, for moving. Can I get a second? Thank you very much. With that, I will submit the minutes to be approved. Is there any dialogue, any changes, any other corrections that's needed for the minutes? If I don't see any hands, I'm going to go ahead and assume that the minutes should be approved as was submitted. Can I get just a hand of nay if you do not approve the minutes? In that case, I'm going to submit the minutes approved and unanimously by the elected council. Last month, we reflected with the message of peace. And instead of reflection, most all of us actually blessed each one of us with the peace traditions. The most beautiful message that was common, the common theme in all was peace be with you, and the importance of all of us having the right to peaceful living. And it was that short, though we come from various different traditions. The message of peace was just that one unique, and consistent, had that one unique and consistent theme that we all have the right to a peaceful living. And with that, let's move on to today's reflection, celebration of light. Father Tom.
Thank you very much, Erica. Considering the time of the year, And as the days start to get darker, it's a wonderful time to reflect on light. Ekanath, we now call upon you to give us some insight and share with us your thoughts and reflections.
Namaste. My name is Ekanath Pai, and thank you, Interfaith Council of Contra Costa County, for inviting us to be part of I4C. It is indeed a great privilege to be part of this auspicious gathering. I'm humbled to share my reflections of the ancient, ever-relevant, and meaningful tradition of Diwali, and it is indeed my privilege to represent the Tri-Valley Hindu community on the occasion today. Let me start with a short Sanskrit prayer, which I learned as a kid, like most Hindu kids, and I recite it even to this day. Shubham karoti kalyanam arogyam dhana sampada shatru buddhir vinashaya deepam jyoti namostute deepam jyoti parabrahma deepam jyoti janardana Deepo me haratu papam deepam jyoti namostute. The meaning of this prayer is salutation to that light of lamp, which brings auspiciousness, health, and prosperity, and which destroys ill will. The light of the lamp represents all the good in everything, that is Parabrahma, and all the good in us, which is Janardana. Let that light of lamp remove our ill will. Salutation to that light of lamp. We are gathered together during the season of Festival of Light, Deepavali or Diwali. This is an occasion for joy and celebration. During this Diwali festival, we share the sweets and sweetness of our words and our kind acts. The word Diwali or Deepavali itself means rows of lamps. The festival of Diwali is celebrated with lighting rows of lamps every day of the festival and everywhere, along with sharing the sweets with families, friends, and community. This is also a festival of giving, where the community as a whole helps the less privileged people by donating food, clothes, and doing charitable work. Diwali is a festival in celebration of Divine Mother Goddess Lakshmi. Divine Mother Goddess Lakshmi symbolizes all the wealth, wisdom, courage, knowledge, valor, health, wealth, possessions, love, and care. Diwali is celebrated all over the world these days and has been one of the largest festivals with universal appeal. It is traditionally celebrated over several days. Typically, festivities last 5 or 6 days. And Hindus traditionally follow lunar calendar, and Diwali celebrations begin with the 12th day of waning moon of Ashvija lunar month until the 2nd day of waxing moon of lunar month Kartika. Day 1 is the 13th day typically of lunar waning phase of Ashvija month. This is the day celebrated in memory of Dhanvantari, the god of Ayurveda. Typically on this day of Diwali, early morning oil bath is observed as a symbol of purification and also in preparation for the upcoming cooler season. Day 2 is the 14th day of waning phase of Ashvija month or Naraka Chaturdashi. Remembering Lord Sri Krishna liberating women held in captivity by demon Naraka and giving them back their rightful freedom, dignity, and respect is the symbolism of Naraka Chaturdashi. Day 3 is the no moon day of Ashvija month, is celebrated with Dhana Lakshmi and Dhanya Lakshmi Puja, worship of Divine Mother Lakshmi, symbolizing use of food, wealth, and prosperity for the good of society. No Moon Day is also associated with celebration of Sri Rama returning to Ayodhya after staying away from Ayodhya for 14 years and eventually freeing Sita from demon Ravana. And it is a symbolic way of welcoming Sri Rama and Sita back to Ayodhya with rows of lamps to brighten the dark night of moonless day. The day 4 is waxing day of Kartika month, first waxing day, and is dedicated to remembering King Bali for his great care and for his kingdom and for his people. It is a reminder for all of us to always do good for the community. Day 5 is the second waxing day of Kartika month, is Yamadvitiya, or also called Bhaiduj. Typically, sisters return to their brother's place for worship and wish for their long life. It commemorates the unconditional love between brothers and sisters. Some people also celebrate on the 12th day of waning phase of Ashvija month in celebration and worship of Nandini or Kamadhenu, the divine cow, who symbolizes unconditional love for all. In a deeper meaning, the light represents the sun. The sun is the source of all that exists in our surroundings. Just like a day always begins with the ray of light from the sun, every event for us Hindus begin with lighting of a lamp. Every prayer begins with lighting of lamp. Every day begins with prayer and a lighting of a lamp. Every birthday is celebrated with lighting of a lamp. Every auspicious occasion is blessed by lighting of a lamp. Every prayer culminates in Aarti, which is lighting of the lamp. Light represents auspiciousness. Light represents knowledge. Light represents all the good deeds. Light represents love and kindness. Light represents purity. Light represents selfless service. Light represents wealth. Light represents common good. On the other hand, darkness represents ignorance. Darkness represents fallacy. Darkness represents anger and hatred. Light removes darkness. Light of knowledge removes that ignorance, fallacy, anger, and hatred. Diwali is a celebration of all that light represents and the inspiration to walk in the path of light of knowledge. On the occasion of this festival of Diwali, let us all come together, join hands, light rows and rows of lamps. Let the light of the lamp help us shine our inner light. Bless us with all that it represents: knowledge, auspiciousness, purity in thoughts, speech, and deed. Let that light within us enrich us individually and as a collective community by evoking our love and kindness, selfless service, mutual care, and our resolve towards all that common good. Let me conclude with a prayer from the Vedas, the collection of ancient wisdom. Om asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om shanti shanti shanti. So the meaning is, Om, relieve me from fake and unreal path and take me towards the path of eternal truth. Relieve me from the ignorance represented by darkness and take me towards the light, which represents knowledge of that supreme reality. Relieve me from the suffering of the mortals and take me towards the self-realization, bliss, and immortality. Let there be peace everywhere. Om. So we can share that video now.
Ga pagari sare ga sani pagari sare sare ga pari ga pani sani sare sa ga pagari pagari sari ga sani pagari sari sari ga pari ga pani sani sari sa sani paga pagari sari ga ri ga ni pagari sari ga ri ga pa ga pa ni sari ga ri sa ni ri sa ga ri sa ni pa ni ri ga ri sa sa ni sari ga ri sa ni pa ga ri ri sa sa ni pa ga ri sa ni pa ga ri ga pa ni nindari bavali நான் சொல்வேன் அறிவாயடி நின்ற தீபாவளி
Ekanath, thank you so very, very much. We really appreciate your insights and your thoughts, and we hope that light will radiate from all of our hearts. Perhaps our hearts should be that lamp. Let us light the flame in our own souls.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions or any thoughts? We have a moment that you would like to share.
Just want to say thank you very much, Ekanath. Beautiful message. I learned a lot about Diwali today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Be well. It's now time for us to move on to one of our reports on ICHANGE. Meg and Julius have been doing quite a bit of work, and it's now our privilege to consider their report and their insights. Meg?
Good morning.
Meg? Oh, good
I'm
morning.
here. Yeah, I'm waiting
Okay.
for the screen share.
Okay, very good. Welcome.
Thank you.
It should be ready to go, Meg. You're a co-host.
Okay, thank you. Oops. Okay, screen sharing, okay. Okay, Julius, you are also on?
Yes.
Okay.
ICHANGE mentoring program stands for ICHANGE as acronym for Interfaith Chaplaincy, Affirming a New Generation of Excellence. And we'd like to talk about our healing-centered spiritual care for justice-involved youth. And this is a collaboration between I4C, myself and the chaplaincy at Juvenile Hall, and our community volunteers. We wish to acknowledge the wisdom of restorative practices taught to us by Indigenous peoples. We would be appropriating these practices without naming our indebtedness. Institutions and systems in which restorative justice is implemented, including schools and the justice system, are often perpetrators of violence against people of color. We acknowledge this and hold space in our restorative practices for conversation about interpersonal harm, as well as systemic structural harm. With opening eyes, minds, and hearts, we acknowledge the oneness of the earth and all creation and peoples as we seek to make the beloved community a reality. We seek understanding, wisdom, and courage as we together speak truth to power, right wrongs, and bring healing to the wounds in our relationships, our communities, this nation, and world.
The California Department of Juvenile Justice, DJJ, is in the process of closing its state-run facilities and will be transitioning young adults aged 16 to 24 to county facilities over the next few years. After careful study of the challenges to our county juvenile justice system in meeting the needs of justice-involved youth, the ICHANGE committee has identified results-based mentoring practices and has re-envisioned our spiritual care outreach. We invite you to join us as we endeavor to help young people become the change they want to be.
ICHANGE is an initiative of the diverse faith and cultural community of the Interfaith Council of Contra Costa County and the chaplaincy of Juvenile Hall.
I'm sorry, something's stuck.
We've all been working together to make this a reality, which is extremely, extremely exciting for us, as this initiative has really been a collaboration and entails a lot of the meetings that we have been.
I'm sorry, my screen is stuck. I have to go out and go back in.
Just
While we're waiting for her, let me just get our PowerPoint started here. And technical difficulties happen, right?
absolutely.
Let me get us started here. And then if you want to just say next, Julius, I'll be happy to move us.
Okay, so you could go to screen 2. Screen 3. Screen 4. So our numbers are off. You can go on. Okay, the next one. Okay, and then hit again. And go down. Okay, Julius. Oh, wait, go back. We believe in the power and potential of all lives, that no one should be defined by the worst thing they have experienced or done. We all seek understanding, healing, and connection as we endeavor to become the beloved community.
Amen.
Next.
The mission of ICHANGE is to offer healing-centered spiritual care that is culturally responsive, trauma-informed, and grounded in strengths-based restorative justice practices. We also, our mission is to guide youth as they explore spiritual values, engage in activities, and develop critical reflection and the social emotional skills that will enable them to explore new possibilities, fulfill their goals, and avoid further justice involvement. Also, to connect youth to community assets that will provide the services and the continuing support they need as they become responsible citizens in the community.
Okay, and Will, if you could take your time, please don't hit the button again so we can do it slowly. Young people seek and appreciate the caring attention of mentors who provide a safe space where they are heard and feel supported, guidance from lessons drawn from life and sharing, but not imposed, spiritual inspiration, assistance in developing social and emotional skills, and preparation for reentry into the community. Next. Direction in accessing community services and, okay.
As we fulfill our mission of healing-centered spiritual care, it is our goal to support the development of confidence, which is, of course, a sense of self-worth and capacity to succeed, character, to take responsibility and connect to principles and values, caring, sympathy, and empathy for others. Contribution, active participation, and a commitment to making a difference. Competence, to interact and behave effectively in various settings. And connection, positive bonds with people and social institutions, and exploration of the spiritual dimensions of life.
The multiple and intersectional issues and systemic barriers that contribute to justice involvement include government policies and funding and their impact on community, family relationships and issues stemming from dysfunction, race, ethnicity, class, and poverty, processing and learning differences, trauma, behavioral, mental, and physical health and substance use, sexuality, gender, and LGBTQI2S identity issues, immaturity, risk-taking, and peer influence, inadequate education, career development, and employment opportunities, and policing and juvenile justice system inequities. Next.
Reentry issues for justice-involved youth, leaving placement, housing shortages and qualification requirements, lack of access to and engagement with community services, underprepared for employment, transportation issues, return to problematic neighborhoods, peers, and families, immature social emotional skills, lack support in transition to community and adulthood, parenting responsibilities, challenges to completing justice system requirements, and the stigma of justice involvement itself.
As we examined the many possible causes for justice involvement and the challenges faced during reentry into the community after incarceration, we sought the means for addressing these issues and needs. We invite you to consider the following evidence-based practices that reflect our values as an interfaith community and that we believe will enable our mentors to assist young people to become the change they want to be.
Foundations.
Some kids don't have their dad or their moms there that can help them.
As a mom, I was feeling very vulnerable and scared.
Growing up with my mom, single mom, so she always had to like work. It was just not a lot of like family time.
These young kids, I mean, there's so much in the streets right now that if they don't have positive role models or someone to tell them right from wrong, it's so easy for them to go down the wrong road.
The impact that you'll make on just that one person with that investment of time is something that can't be measured,
Sorry, we're having technical issues. Meg and Reverend Julius, maybe we can show that video next time.
Sure. Well, best laid plans. We just invite you, if you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
Have those training sessions already started?
No, their classes will not be starting probably till February.
I see.
Most of the images were of young men. What programs do you have for young women?
The truth is that there are very few young women in Juvenile Hall. I think there's only one, right, Julius?
There's only one, and actually she just left. I spoke with her great-grandmother who she went to live with 2 weeks ago, actually. So we don't have any young ladies at the current moment, at present time.
However, the same program would be offered to young women when they're there.
So we will need female mentors. Sorry, Sabra, go ahead.
I just wanted to say I'm really impressed with the program, and I'm really impressed with how they've put it together. So it's really something, it's very well organized and very well done. And I hope a lot of people contribute. I'm not sure I'll be able to do as much, but I would like to help in some ways if I can.
Thank you.
Sorry, my voice is breaking up. I don't know. I think it's early morning. Sorry.
I have a question. You just mentioned in your program that the juvenile facilities are going to be closed. It's just amazing for me to hear that. If that is the case, what is going to happen?
Well, that for the state, for the state juvenile facilities, for the Department of Justice, will be closing in 2023. So several counties in our state have a pilot program for those youth who would be sent to the DOJ. And so our county facilities will still be open. The state's facilities just won't be.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I've said this before, but I wanted to affirm, I think the development that Julius and Meg have made and presented today really radically develops this program. And I hope more and more into the future that it takes on what we do together, and not to, it's another project out there that we sponsor, but we don't know anything about. And so I understand that there's formal training, but as we go along, you might keep us not only informed, but invite us in very, very practical ways as how we can be supportive directly of those involved in trying to recover in their life situation, but also how we might support those who are doing the frontline support work. In my own work, I think that's where a lot of burnout occurs and a lot of exhaustion occurs. So some of us may not have the ability to be there all the time, but we can certainly help support those who are mentoring and those who are doing the leadership. But thank you for this. This is a wonderful development from my point of view.
Thank you. Well, I'm sure we'll have a long list of requests for you very shortly.
Yes.
Very good. Very
Can I
good.
ask some questions?
Of course.
Thank you. So you're seeking mentors for February of 2022. How many are you seeking?
Well, that's when we're going to start our modules for our training. Where we're at is that with the new population coming to the juvenile hall, and also with so much talk around the closure of the ranch and a lot of those alternate things that we've had, there are going to be funds as well that will be available for programs like this. And the reason why I'm answering it in this way is because we need mentors, as many as we can get. And the reason why I'm saying it that way is because some will feel comfortable to go into the facilities and actually be with the youth. However, as we know, during COVID, we started the Pen Pal program, even though there wasn't a back and forth, but just those letters of encouragement. So there's so many different ways that you can mentor without actually going into the facility for those who that may not be feasible for, or the level that they're wanting to be mentoring.
So, Julius, are you asking us to put this proposal or give us a copy of the presentation and forward it to our faith communities to see if there are people that would like to be mentors? And if so, who do they contact to sign up?
Yes, I'll let Meg follow up on that question, but we are working on actually Meg has just about completed a phenomenal brochure, and we will have all of that information, like a little press kit that we will be sending out to all of our congregations and affiliates for mass recruitment, because we really need this to be supported so that it can be a success for the young people. Meg, would you like
Yes,
to?
we'll be sending this out to every single congregation in the county, not just our 109 members. We want everyone to participate in this program.
Yeah, and I should just say that people should contact either myself or Reverend Julius, and we will have an application packet to get for people to fill out, and then that'll be followed up by screening that will need to happen to make sure that they can go into juvenile hall, and then the training will take place. So there's going to be a little bit of a process that we're still working through. We're finishing up the development of the training modules, which is why we're so aware of what they'll contain, and continuing to work on all the details that are a part of this. So we're kind of glad we have a few more months, but we're taking names. So if you know of anyone who's interested, we're putting together a list, and we'll be sending out those application packets in the near future.
I have a question, Julius.
Yes.
Is this a transition throughout the country, or is this unique to you? What's happening with juvenile justice wider?
Yeah, this is mainly, well, it's happened in several other states. One of the places that we studied was Columbia Justice, I believe it's Columbia Justice Lab, but New York has a similar model, and a lot of the liberal states, but this is a California thing, but it has happened in other states across the country.
Any other questions or reflections, observations?
I did want to echo Father Tom. Thank you so much for your remarks, and I want to publicly appreciate Meg, Keeley, and her husband, who has they've really supported this. We worked tirelessly to get this together, and we still are. And I want to publicly acknowledge all the work and her genius to this project, and everyone else who has been involved as well as a part of our committee, but especially her. And what you said, Father Tom, this is what we'd like to do. We've prepared this, and everyone knows how I can be with my organization, how busy I am, but bringing this organized presentation today, we want to do exactly what you said, have the entire Interfaith Council and affiliates involved and supporting this project, because that's the only way that we can really achieve the success that we would like to see with our young people. So I just wanted to highlight your comment and thank you for expressing that as well.
You're most welcome, and thank you, and Meg, again for your hard work. Jenny?
Yes, I have a question about how many state facilities are going to be closed? And what is the number of our county local facilities that we have now?
Okay, so for probation, as it relates to being detained or detention facilities, we have the John A. Davis Juvenile Hall, which is in Martinez, and the Orrin Allen Youth Rehabilitation Facility, which is also known as the Byron Boys Ranch, which is in Byron. And so those are the two facilities for Contra Costa County. Now, all of the facilities, the statewide facilities for the Department of Justice will be closing for youth as of 2023. So they're not taking any more new youth. But however, they're diverting those youth to their respective counties. I'm not exactly sure how many there were, but they will all be closing after 2023.
And that's a good thing, Reverend Julius, because there's been a system of abuse of young people in those systems. And we've been trying to close those for the last 20 years that I've lived in California.
Absolutely.
So then what is happening to the children who are not being sent to the county facilities? What's happening with them?
All of the county facilities will be the only facilities. The state won't have any of them.
And are they going
Everything
to
will be returning to the local counties. And some counties might work together to create some kind of specialized places for folks that have specialized juvenile justice issues, but that's still in the planning phase.
Well, I think of the closing of the mental hospitals. Reagan wanted everyone in the counties to take care of those mental health. And now our jails have become the mental health facilities for those. I wouldn't want to see the same thing happening to the juveniles.
That's an excellent point to note, and maybe we should note that and keep an eye on that development and not wait till after it happens and then be reactive, but try to be proactive with that issue and any other issue involved. I think it'd be important for us now to commit ourselves maybe sometime today to consider what it is we've heard in this report, to make some personal notes as to what your concerns would be, and perhaps even what your contribution could be this day going forward. And then to make sure that in our future meetings, we keep coming back to this issue, because it's not simply about another program. It's about the lives of very, very real people. And talk about light shining in the darkness. Talk about lighting the lamp. Thank you so very much for doing that. So let's all take a deep breath and release all the love that's in our hearts out into the world, especially to the young people that we're concerned about in this moment. Next on our agenda is some important projects, upcoming events and dates. And Will, would you like to inform us?
Sure. I want to start lifting my light and lifting up the light of Naveed Hameed, fellow URI Cooperation Circle. We are a URI Cooperation Circle, and Naveed Hameed is here from Pakistan. And you're going to meet him briefly today, but there's also a couple other opportunities that we'll share for meeting him. So Naveed, can you share some words of introduction?
Thank you so much, first of all, Reverend Will, Thomas, and all the team. I'm privileged, I'm honored and humbled to be here in United States. And I'm a documentary filmmaker, and I have a Interfaith initiative, nonprofit initiative, Kahani, Sunao, tell a story. So we portray human relationships and bridge the gaps among different communities. And we tell stories of different people from different communities, different faith, to bridge the gap and share the social cohesion and peace building and diversity in Pakistan. So my background and my encounter with the discrimination, intolerance, hate pushed me from my childhood when I faced discrimination on my faith, because I belong to a Christian faith in Pakistan. And I faced at my childhood when I was going to play with my childhood friends and they don't play with me. And when I, encounter at my home, my father faced all. So this pushed me to work on interfaith harmony, or how we can bridge the gaps. So in 2009, I was a student of media and peace building, and I got an opportunity to create one video. So I was creating a video on Gojra incident, if might be know many of you, or maybe you can Google it. The Gojra incident happened in 2009 when 75 houses were set on fire and 9 people burnt alive from the one community, Christian community. So I was there to conducting the interview of one of the victim family, and I just normally as a filmmaker you have to be the same place and you have to conduct the interview, and by doing so I just heard the very crying voice, and she was crying with pain, and that words bring me here, and she was crying with pain. They are coming, they destroyed my toys and they are going to destroy me. She was talking about the extremist group. She was only 8 to 9 years old, and she lost their parents in that incident. And how she will survive rest of the life, this was my question to myself. And that was the time when I decided to devote my life to bridge gaps among majority and minority community and different communities in Pakistan, and I choose the best tool is media, telling the stories, utilizing the social media technology so we can tell more stories. So I'm here to meeting with the different people to share my work and to share my story and what we are doing back in Pakistan. So you are all welcome to join us.
And there's 2 ways that you can meet Naveed. One is next Monday at 10 a.m. at Dr. Erica's backyard, which is 24 Hilldale Court in Orinda. Or there's going to be a program with him at Christ the King Parish, Thursday, October 14th, after the 6 p.m. Mass in Parish Hall, which is around 6:45. Thank you so much, Naveed.
Thank you so much. And
appreciate your presence with us today. And Bev Turley, who's helping you, Turlip. Glad that you're with us. We have posted, and there's some things in the agenda I'm just going to lift up a little bit. We have some new programs on our YouTube, including Rabbi Jerry Danzig on the big questions on the purpose of life, Interfaith Immigration Roundtable recording, our International Day of Peace program. I'm going to be sharing a little bit about my time on Line 3 with First Nations next Monday at the Meaningful Mondays, and you're welcome to join us then. Of course, the Parliament of the World's Religions is online this weekend. I think it's only $90 to be able to have access to all of the different workshops. Lots going on. I'll be a part of one on Sunday morning at 7 a.m. with other Bay Area interfaith leaders. There is a Faith for Climate rally in Martinez Sunday from 2 to 4, and Chief Philip Scott will be there with me and others. October 18th, Dr. Bains will be sharing her answers to what is the purpose of life with the Rossmore Interfaith Council's Big Question series. And then our next retreat is November 7th from 3 to 6, sorry, not 2 to 6, 3 to 6, Nurturing the Beloved Community with Reverend Kamal Hassan on the Black Church's role in creating the beloved community. And our annual meeting is going to be all online starting at 7 p.m. on Sunday, November 14th. So please put that on your calendar, and it's going to be all online as we're able to share all of the great work that we've done over the last year. We did have a meeting on disaster with all of the Bay Area Interfaith Councils, and there's a brief report in your agenda on that, as well as a paper that we're still in process on around Haiti. And so if you have any input or any suggestions from your perspective that you'd like to take a look at that, starts on page 10. And we would love to see that. Greg Kremenliev is next. He's going to give us just a brief update on iCare.
Thank you, Will. And I wanted to start out by thanking all the members of the elected council who have participated in our programs. We just celebrated our 1-year anniversary, and Terry's report is attached to the agenda, and it's a good summary of our first year. It's remarkable what we accomplished together during a pandemic. And I wanted to particularly thank Terry and Dave and Anita for their leadership. And we celebrated our first year with the White Pony Express project, and I'm really pleased to note that we had more than half of the faith communities that have participated in programs our first year participated, including the First Christian Church, Lafayette Christian Church, Temple Isaiah, the Concord and Danville Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints, St. Isidore, San Ramon Valley United Methodist Church, Tri-Valley Hindu Community, and the Islamic Center of Zara. Thank you to all of those. And we could use help on a couple of upcoming projects. One of them is an East County project with Shelter Inc. It's some outdoor work, and we'd love to have, we do have a Pittsburgh Ward Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints sponsor, and would love a co-sponsor. So any of you in East County, I'm going to be reaching out to you in the next couple of days. So if you're interested, please help out. And then a brand new project, Afghan Backpacks, working in conjunction with the Jewish Family Community Services and the IRC. And we've got a wonderful co-sponsor with the Islamic Center of Zara. And they have a second Muslim co-sponsor. Would love to find a third co-sponsor. So any of the faith groups, faith communities in Danville, San Ramon, that area, be wonderful if you could help. And again, thank you very much to all of the participants, and we look forward to an even better second year.
Great, thanks, Greg. I think we've heard a lot about ICHANGE and Reverend Julius's work. So Sojo did meet yesterday. Dennis, did you have anything to add about yesterday's conversations? I know for those of us that are following the Concord Naval Weapons Station and the housing, that might be an important piece if you have just a couple minutes. Dennis might not be able
Dennis,
to
you're on
join.
mute.
I am so sorry. You'd think I'd learn after 2 years here. Our big meeting yesterday was almost entirely in regard to the Concord Naval Weapons Station. And we had people from Concord Community Alliance and also from East Bay housing organizations talk to us. There is, as everyone knows, kind of a groundswell of concern about the Sunao Discovery people being the master developer. And so there's that concern. And then in addition to that, our main concern, obviously, SOJA and as an interfaith council, is that we have an accommodation for the homeless in the final plan, and also for affordable housing. Those were the two main issues. And so SOJA yesterday voted to piggyback along with East Bay housing organizations on the letter that they wrote, which outlines those various issues and some others. And so that going forward is going to be kind of our strategy to work with the City Council of Concord in regard to the Naval Weapons Station. So There's a lot of work to be done, and it's kind of in flux because of the controversy around it. But we want to make sure that our voice is heard on those two issues: the accommodation for the homeless and affordable housing. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Huge need for affordable housing still in our county. So our dialogue today, we're running a little bit behind, so we're going to have a little less time for the actual discussion of this, but we're going to break you into breakout rooms. But the question is, how does your faith tradition celebrate light or the coming darkness of the season? What do you think are the reasons for darkness, and what spiritual practices does your faith share for reducing darkness in this world? And how do you understand your faith's teaching personally? And we will, of course, put this into the chat room, and are encouraging us to be able to have these conversations as we can this morning. And then if there's, if you can make sure that you have a, what's the word? You need a recorder, right? We have 27 people, so let's maybe create it with a few less participants so that our time can go a little easier. But have your recorders ready to email their responses, and we may not have time for our harvest today, so that we can have more time, and we'll just rely on the reporters sending back some of their answers, and then we'll share that in the minutes. So let us move into our breakout rooms right now.
In you and around you, the divine beloved is always with you. In you and around you, the divine beloved is always with you. In you and around you, the divine beloved is always with you. In you and around you, the divine beloved is always with you. In you and around you, the divine beloved is always with you. In you and around you, know that you are not separate from him. Know that you are not separate from him. Let these words be inscribed in your heart. Nothing is real but God. Nothing matters but love for God. Let these words be inscribed in your heart. Nothing is real but God. Nothing matters but love for God. Let these words be inscribed in your heart. Nothing is real but God. Nothing matters but love for God. Let these words be inscribed in your heart. Nothing is real but God. Nothing matters but love for God. The divine beloved is always with you. In you and around you, the divine beloved is always with you. In you and around you, the divine beloved Let these words be inscribed in your heart. Nothing is world but God. Nothing matters but love for God. Let these words be inscribed in your heart. Nothing is world but God. Nothing matters but love for God. Let these words be inscribed in your heart. Nothing is world but God. Nothing matters but love for God. Nothing matters but love for God. Nothing matters but love for